Sorry, I'd say morning. I'm running a bit late. How you going?
I'm good. How are you?
Put your seatbelt on.
Safety first.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Got a bloody little cargo on board now. How's it going?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, good, man. Excited to get some donuts.
Me too. I've been going to the gym though, so I haven't actually had them in a long time. Trying to do the whole sort of healthy thing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work for me.
Eating and exercising, or just eating, or just exercising?
Well, at the moment it's exercising. Although I've been told to, start looking after my food and stuff. But at the end of the day, whatever. I'm not a bodybuilder.
So what's your food-wise? What's your worst habit then?
I would say a lot of fast food.
Okay.
Yeah, that is my ultimate sort of weakness. Although, the past couple of weeks have been alright. I've been minimising that.
Do you cook?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you get a bit lazy?
Well, the thing is, the trainer that I'm not doing personal training, but the guy at the gym that I was talking to, he was telling me, don't make it your first priority.
Okay.
Which is what I've been doing now. So rather than me thinking, I'm going to go get a Macca's burger, I'm thinking of other alternatives. So I've been having a tuna and rice diet at the moment, and it's not something that I like.
Doesn't sound too.
No, it doesn't. But you have to. I'm used to it now actually, so it's good.
Well, it's like when you go shopping, you buy that junk food and it's in your house.
Exactly.
So it's just easy because it's accessible.
Yeah, and I like to usually snack late at night when I'm like watching Netflix and that. So
yeah.
For me, it's kind of that's the hardest thing, I would say. Like before I go to bed and stuff, I'm always snacking on stuff, which I haven't been doing though, which I'm happy with.
Have you actually noticed the difference in your, I don't know, say energy levels, mood, or I don't know? People say, "Oh, my diet," or
look, honestly, I'm not sure. I think it's too early to tell. I'm on the no alcohol. I'm on the no alcohol diet. No, I don't drink when I play gigs.
Yeah.
Which is surprising to a lot of people. They always somehow, because I think it's a stereotype that you're a DJ, you have to drink. It's not true.
No, it's not true. But there's been quite the opposite, where there's been DJs that have been quite drinking a lot, but then they kind of went the opposite way.
Yeah.
Avicii, the bad,
exactly.
Sad to say. Steve Aoki was the same. He was quite a heavy drinker, and I think one of his friends passed away. So after that, he said, "That's it. I'm not."
Yeah, well, anymore. I feel like I've always had my sort of my thoughts on that. I'm not saying that I don't drink. Yeah. It's just that I don't like to do it when I'm like I have to play a gig and stuff, because I like to be fully concentrated in my set. At the same time, like when I say I have like probably one or two drinks and then that's it for me. Like I don't see the point in it, to be honest.
There's also a bit of a I don't know, it's in our culture, maybe Australian culture. It's more shocking to hear when someone says I don't drink rather than someone says, yeah, I do drink. It's like, oh, what? You don't drink? There is a bit of a stigma towards it, which is a bit strange, I find. So I've noticed you seem to just be doing your own thing. You don't really, I'm not sure how to pay attention or care about what else is going on. You're just focused in your own little cocoon.
Yeah. And I feel like, look, I feel like a lot of people would probably think that is people will debate and say that that's the wrong thing to do. But I've always been that way. I would say in and out of the business, but mainly in the music industry, especially in the trance scene, because I'm still quite fresh to the scene. I grew up with listening to it when I was a kid and everything.
Yeah.
But only being in actual as a producer and a DJ now in the scene, it's been like it's been just a year, and so I'm still quite.
It has been then.
Yeah, and it's still quite. I'm still quite fresh there. Obviously, I don't. Like when I was 18 and that, when I turned 18, I'm only 22, but when I turned 18, I never really went out and went to a lot of the trance shows, because I didn't know which ones to attend and all that stuff. I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
So I just did my own thing. Obviously, I was DJing the big room sort of house scene, which I still do, obviously. But I just always did my own thing. When it comes to this sort of, especially in the trance, as I've seen on social media, and you have like elitist trance groups and things like that, and I obviously, I'd be lying to you if I don't have a look at it sometimes, just to see what's going on, and it kind of makes me kind of stay out of it, because I just feel like if I'm doing my own thing, nobody can really, I guess, say anything bad about it, you know, or I don't get involved in the political side of things, which is something I don't like.
I follow you on all your social media, and for me, I'd say you're the hardest working DJ that, maybe not only in Australia, but I don't know. I always see new project finishing up, signing.
I mean, a lot of the times that's just me kind of, I'm working on a lot of music, and there's a lot of ideas that I start, which, you know, I mean, I'm sure you know it as well. It's just like you start a lot of ideas, and then they just kind of sit in the in the library, you know, the sort of archives, you know.
You know,
I mean, for me, just recently, like I started for the first couple of weeks, actually, I was a little bit sort of, I didn't really know what to do with, like, you know, what I was doing. I ran out of ideas, got a bit of writer's block, but, you know, it happens. And I was just, you know, obviously I've got a lot of records that I'm working on, but I just couldn't seem to do anything with them. So kind of, you know, and a lot of them are quite, you know, a few of them are collaboration, so I don't really want to take complete control over it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do something just completely new, and I had this little bass line idea, whatever I was working on, and then it turned into a track that I pretty much finished in one day. And then the next day after, I sent it to Ruben Duron, and he signed it on the spot.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, cool.
That's
yeah, you know. And obviously, I feel like since I played Historia, that, you know, and I met Armin and I met Ruben and, you know, a lot of those guys.
Yeah.
I've become closer with them, you know. I'd say closer with Armin too a little bit, which is cool.
Well, you got that.
Yeah, I've got his personal contact now, and it's cool. Like, I get to actually have a conversation with him. Obviously, it's hard to do that because he's always on the road.
Yeah.
You know?
It cuts out that barrier, puts a face to a name.
Exactly, yeah.
Like,
and it's like when I went to
such and such.
Exactly right. And when I went to Amsterdam last year, that was my first time overseas. But it was my first. Like, what a way to make a debut! I mean, being in Amsterdam and ADE and
going to State Trance Studios, eh?
Yeah, going to State Trance Studio was amazing. I mean, we were supposed to go. We got invited to go to the festival as well, that they had that same night, but we ended up giving it a miss. But going to the studio was more than enough for me. Obviously, you know, that was sort of quite a surreal moment being there. But yeah, I mean, look, you know, I met with a few really big labels and all the label managers and all that, and it's really good to see, like, now when I send a demo, I'm gonna get a reply back.
Yeah, this trip was well worth it.
It was well worth it. I mean, I'm glad for that. I mean, ideally, I'd love to go again, play some shows there, like showcases and whatnot. But it was, for me, it was an amazing experience, and that's something that I feel
Time to get some donuts.
Yes, let's do it.
How's your donut? We got to talk a bit about donuts.
Doughnut was good. If you haven't been to the Oakley
Doughnut Co.
Oakley Doughnut Co. Go. And that, after me saying that, I should get some free discounts now if they're watching this.
We'll have to tag them and get some free donuts for next time.
Absolutely.
Or at least we should do a deal where
it's a call
it's a promo code, drop a name, get 10% off.
It's a call to action.
Yeah. You in reading business books. You've had all the big guys play your tracks. You've done a remix for Axtone. Where do you, like, how far do you want to take? Do you want to get a Grammy, or do you want to be the underground successful DJ, so you're not in the paparazzi's face, or, you know what I mean? Do you want to be the producer who produces Justin Bieber's records and just has the big MTV crib?
Well, I don't think I'll ever get that big.
You're saying I forget how you put it. You want to be successful, not so much famous.
Yeah,
What's
well,
the balance?
the idea of, that's my sort of ideology about it, is the fact that I want to be I want to be successful, and I want to obviously tour and play shows around the world and experience that lifestyle to an extent, obviously. I don't want to push myself to the point where I can't continue doing it. But I don't want to be famous in the sense that, I don't really care if... Well, I mean, it's hard to explain, really, because, I mean, if I want to be successful, I want to be known, but when I say that, I want to do it in the right way, in a good way. Not be like I'm only getting involved in music because it's a good way to get your face out there and, for example, like get with girls or whatnot.
Yeah.
You know, which a lot of people abuse that because they feel like that's the only way to, you know, be involved in business. I got into music because I loved it. You know, there's no other way. You know, no one's going to say that to me otherwise. You know, I mean, I want to be successful because I love what I do, and I can see something. And obviously, being supported by all the bigger DJs that I grew up listening to, which is still, you know, as great as it is, and as regular I feel like as it's becoming now, it's still always incredible. You know, because they you know, artists that I grew up listening to when I was like a kid now know who I am, and they know what we speak and we talk, and they play my music. That's something that I feel like is the reason why I want to be successful. I feel like that is success in its own way.
I'm kind of similar to you. I don't play the 140 bangers, 138. I actually don't. I probably shouldn't say this, but I don't like 138.
How could you not?
Yeah, like, you fucking asshole. Never watching your donut shows again. But it is what you like. But you still get branded as a genre. Do you find that? I don't know. And a lot of times when I actually contact people like, oh, we're not doing trance acts, it's like, mate, I don't actually play the trance you think of.
Yeah, and that has been a bit of a struggle with me now, because people just see me as a trance DJ and only want me for the trance nights and nothing more. But the thing is, I obviously come from a more commercial house background, so I can kind of get away with that.
Yeah.
But you know, for me, it's kind of just like, I don't know, promoters are a little bit...
Keep going straight through. Actually, Daniel's Doughnuts. Yeah,
he's right. It's right there.
Dual donut run.
But, I mean...
Do you find yourself going more towards the axe tone, where it's the big Swedish House Mafia type?
Well, look, that was always the dream. I always wanted, you know, I said Axwell was one of the reasons why Swedish House Mafia, you know, one of the, as individuals, you know, what were the three of the main reasons why I started making music. But I feel like for me, I wanted to do that. I always saw myself doing that, but I could never get interest from those labels as a big room house DJ. You know, and then I changed to trance, and then I somehow met, you know, if I wasn't doing trance and doing all this trance stuff, then I wouldn't actually get interest from Axtone, because that's how it happened. You know, I went to ADE because I wanted to, you know, meet with all the trance labels and the trance DJs, and we actually had a few things going on there to do with the trance side of my career. And then I bumped into Axtone, which wouldn't have happened if I was doing big room. Yeah. So I feel like that is doing this trance thing is a blessing in its own way, because I mean, definitely my career's changed. Like, my mindset's changed now. Like, I want to play a State of Trance shows. I want to play ABGT.
Yep.
You know, like, but I also want to play for Axtone, and I want to release my music with Axtone. I feel like I can do it because I've got my foot in the door now. I just got to keep it up. The hardest thing is constantly backing it up. You know, I did a remix for Axtone and it did really, really well, and obviously we're closer with the label now, and I'm sending in more music. But until Axwell turns around and says, I want it, just like Up Above and Beyond, when you send a song to Anjuna Beats, for example, they can turn around and say, I want it, I want this, I want that, but it's kind of like, okay, what are you going to do about it now?
Yeah.
You know, they have to turn around and say yes. If they don't say yes, well then, I mean, what do you do really? I mean, you have to just keep working on your music. I feel like that my answer kind of went away in its own thing, but it's kind of like, I feel like, I mean, Dirty South was the main reason why I wanted to make music. DJ Tiesto was what made me want to be a DJ, as for a lot of young DJs and DJs in general. You know, Tiesto was the guy for me that I, you know, back in 2003, 2004, I started my cousins gave me a DVD of him playing in Holland, the first sort of a big arena concert thing, and he opened up with like Forever Today, that big 10-minute intro. It was just like, wow, what is this? You know, and I was like this 10, 11-year-old, 12-year-old kid. Well, I wouldn't say I was 12 years old, I was younger than that. I would have been quite young, you know, and I wasn't making music back then, but I loved dance music.
That was the spark.
And then I saw Tiesto do this, and I was like, this is what I want to do. But to be a producer, I discovered Dirty South back in like 2005, 2006, along with Above and Beyond and Armin, and, you know, like Paul Oakenfold and Paul Van Dyke, and then there was artists like Frankie Knuckles in the house world. Yeah. You know, and then there was Carl Cox, and obviously Daft Punk were a massive influence in me as well. But as a producer, you know, that was the Dirty South was the guy that I wanted to be like, you know, and still today, you know, still my number one, in fact, my favorite artist, whatever. But it's I mean, that's the thing. So I wanted to obviously be working alongside Axwell and Steve Angelo and whatnot. But and obviously being able to meet Axwell at the start of the year and hanging out with him was you know, a dream come true. But it was just, you know, crazy how it all kind of intertwines. And it all has to do with the trance. So having your own sound is probably the hardest thing ever. Yeah. It takes years and years and years and years to develop. Like, I feel like now I'm starting to get my own sound within the trance thing. Yeah. Especially this year. I haven't been... Like, you know, when I first started it, I was doing the big electro drop, breakdown, and then chord drop, whatever, like the generic sort of cookie cutter process, just to get my foot in the door, you know. It was working for me, but then after a while, even I started getting a bit bored of it. So this year's been all about trying to avoid that, trying to do new things, which is where the house aspect comes back into play. Yeah. And it allows me to think differently, and, you know, obviously being a warm-up DJ now as well as a sort of main room artist has allowed me to obviously think outside the box too, because I can take influence from techno, put it into my track, you know, and it works most of the time. So you got to find ways to do it. It's obviously, and then labels will take interest in you. I feel like if the idea is right, if the music's good, at the end of the day, it all comes down to the music. If the music's good, you should get signed. Yeah, absolutely. You know? I mean, at the end of the day, you never know. I've made a lot of music that keeps getting, you know, that gets rejected on the daily. It just, you always find one song that gets in. Yeah. That's my little sort of advice for the other aspiring artists, I guess. Don't fear rejection. No, I experience rejection, and you will experience rejection. And it's obviously everyone says this, but you will experience rejection more time than you will experience success. Yeah. But, you know, there's like, you know, and that comes from me not being able to play shows, promoters rejecting me for gigs and all that stuff. Eventually you get the right opportunity and it comes to light, you know, and you get to showcase that. I come from that world where there's a lot of young kids, like Martin Garrix, for example, is an artist that I've met a few times now. Yeah. You know, I've gotten to hang out, I wouldn't say hang out with him, but I've gotten the chance to talk to him quite a bit, and he's played a lot of my records as well. You know, in his radio show and whatnot, and, you know, I've sent demos to his labels, stamped. Yeah. Just recently, actually, and, you know, and obviously they didn't say yes. You know, I'll be open about that, but they did say we want to hear more. You know, the fact that they want to hear more music. You know, but it's the fact that they're listening is the most important thing. Yeah. You can send music to a label and they don't even look at it. The fact that they actually took their time to listen to your song, even if you get rejected, you still don't get rejected. Yeah. Yes, it's a win-win. It's more of a win than it is a loss, because they hear you. You know, they know what you're making. They know the name. Yeah, absolutely. You know? It's like they might not like it, but at least they have heard of you now. And if they like what you gave them, but they didn't sign it, but they're more likely to listen to it again. You know? And that's the experience that I've had with labels these days, especially bigger labels. And the thing is, you know, when it comes to younger artists, you know, they have a track and they want to push it straight away to the big guys. Yeah. Or they'll give it to some real shady label that just so they can get their name on a streaming service or Beatport, which is the wrong thing to do. I feel like the best thing to do, and because that's from my experience. You know, I was one of those hungry young kids who wanted to get on Beatport because I felt like if I got on Beatport, my career was made. That's it. Okay. But the song was shocking. You know, ironically, it was called "I'll Never Forget." So check it out, Marcus Santoro. I'll never forget. I'll never forget that time I made my track, you know. And that's the thing that
Don't you just normally just start at the top, biggest labels, and it's like reject, and then it's like, okay.
I mean, look, I feel like there's maybe get on your right lane.
Yeah.
I feel like there's this sort of big thing. Everybody wants to be successful too fast, too quick. Yeah, writer's block for me is always something that is hard to overcome, and I feel like it happens to the best of us. You know, like you have to experience it all the time. Like I was going through, you know, like you I remember this story. You told me I was releasing music that was like one after the other.
Well, that's the thing. I saw your social media, like YouTube, like far out. This guy's a work.
You know, I was releasing music like at the start of the year. I had 4 records out in the space of 4 months.
Yeah,
one single a month, which all got really good response and everything. So I was happy with that. But I guess it's lucky. You hit a hot streak, you have to ride that wave, you know?
Yeah.
If you got the momentum, keep it up. At the same time, like, when I do hit writer's block, I get it pretty hard. And I don't make music for a couple of days, I make something for a couple of weeks, maybe sometimes a month, you know? I just don't know what I'm doing. Even though I have hundreds of other projects that I'm working on, you know? But I always like to start fresh. I mean, I'm one of those people that starts something in a way that I've put myself in the habit now, if I start something, I have to finish it, even if I don't end up using it.
Okay.
Just so it's done.
Yeah.
Because you never know, put it away, save it there for a couple months, come back to it, you might have a new idea. But at the end of the day, it's quality over quantity. It doesn't matter how many records you have.
Yeah.
Because I've released a lot of music now, and I'm happy with the music that I'm releasing. And I don't intend to be pumping out songs all the time. It just so happens to be that the release dates are kind of
I guess
there,
when you're
you know.
spanning over different labels, you can't.
Yeah, like I don't want to sit on an instrumental club track for too long because the style might fade out. So while you've got it, put it out. You know, it keeps the fans engaged, keeps the DJs they know who I am. You know, it keeps the stuff happening. Obviously, it's not going to be you're not going to have a #1 hit record of an instrumental song anymore.
Well, you
never know. But like the chances of it happening is quite hard. Obviously, streaming like instrumental trance songs. On Spotify or Apple Music, obviously you don't get a lot of streaming or chart playlists because it's an instrumental.
Yeah.
Although, having said that, my latest one, Halo, got into a big playlist on Spotify and hit like 100,000 streams for an instrumental song. For me, that's pretty cool. I never thought in a million years that Above and Beyond would ever play my music. And yeah, it was fun. It was amazing when they played it. I remember when they first played my song and it got pushed the button. I called up my cousin Claudia. She's a really big fan of Above and Beyond. Yeah. And like she was one of my family members who actually introduced me to trance growing up.
Yeah.
So it was obviously very special for me, the fact that I got played by Above and Beyond, and she was a big fan of them, and that her cousin got, you know, played by them, and they actually said my name on the show, and I called her up straight away, and I was like, oh, you know, you never know what just happened. Guess what? My song's getting played on Above and Beyond tonight. She was losing it because she listened to group therapy all the time. And you know, that was an amazing moment to share with, obviously, with everybody else, but that was like kind of a very sentimental thing for me. But it happened one time, and you're just like, awesome, and then it happens again. Then it happens again, and it happens again. And then they start acknowledging you every time they play the song, like, and then you get asked to do fucking guest mix for them, and you're just like, what? I remember I got emailed from Enhanced, because Enhanced actually got me the guest mix.
Okay.
Obviously, Junior Beats had, Above and Beyond had asked, the ABGT had asked to do a guest mix for it, but they went through Enhanced to do it, and I got the email at 4 a.m. in the morning saying that it was urgent, it had to be done. And I was dead asleep, but somehow I woke up at that particular time.
Well, you'd have all that.
And straight away, I was dead asleep. I checked my emails, and I was like, I went to get up and get a glass of water, you know, the usual night antics. I checked my email because I'm like, why not? See what I had a few emails there, and it was one from Enhanced saying, urgent, we need Above and Beyond guest mix. And I was just like, okay, it needs to be done straight away because it needs to be done now, pretty much. I went on my computer at 4 a.m, it was dead quiet, I had my headphones on, and I put together a mix. It was so rough, like I felt like I woke up in the morning and I re-listened to it thinking, I just fucked this up, didn't I? Yeah. And it was actually really, really cool. And I was just like, oh, well, you know.
I saw your press shot for the ABGT guest mix. You had short hair.
Yeah, that was when I was 20. I was 18 then, or I was 18.
The image change.
Had an image change. Obviously, got the long locks now. I remember Will Atkinson actually at Historia was telling me, the first thing he said to me was, "I love your hair, man." And he's growing his hair out too. And he was just, I'm just like, "Oh, thanks." I'm like, then he started having this engaged conversation with me about my hair.
Did you have this big conversation about what product you use?
No, I don't really use anything. I just pretty much just let it sit. You know, like I used to use a lot of product obviously when I had shorter hair.
Yeah.
Now I just let it sit, and obviously it is a bit of a bloody.
Two grown men talking about hair, eh?
Yeah, and I'm like, this is the first thing that I've ever said to Will Atkinson before. I don't think he knows who I am, and I'm playing the show. And he actually knew who I was because I did the Filterheads remix. Yeah. Somehow this bootleg that was supposed to be a free download got the report like from a lot of these bigger artists. So if you can get a classic, make it your own thing. Yeah. Obviously, don't get it. But you see, the idea was I got a classic song that if I knew I fucked up in a way, people weren't going to hate me for it. Well, no one really knew the song. Like people know that record. Like diehard Trance fans know the song, but they're not going to bag me for it because I ruined that track. Difference if I took. Well,
the thing is, if it doesn't get played, it's just
it just gets under the rug. You know, but like
it gets big. Everyone's
like it's different if I took Adagio for strings, or maybe
Delirium
Silence, and I ruined that in a way. What your fans would say you ruined it, but like, you know, I did that bootleg. It got picked up by A&B. You know, it got actually premiered by Above and Beyond at the start of 2017.
Do you see yourself one day moving overseas and living overseas?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's something
would
that
it be more of a LA US thing, or would you be more of a Europe base?
I've always had the dream to move to Los Angeles. Yeah. But you know, my manager's from there, so ideally I would like to set up shop there eventually. But yeah, look, I feel like Europe is the way to go at the moment. I actually wouldn't mind moving to Amsterdam or London. Yeah. I fell in love with both those cities, especially. I fell in love with Amsterdam a lot more because it was different than anywhere I'd ever been. Obviously, you know, Exodus moved to Prague. Yeah. I had a few friends of mine move from here to places around Europe, and I see that they're actually doing something a lot more with their career. So ideally, I'd love to go. I actually had intentions to go this year, but I felt like I left a little bit.
Got a couch for you. Yeah. Exodus, you got a couch.
Yeah, come on, help me out.
Come on, man.
No, but like, ideally, look, if I go, I feel like next year would be if I don't go next year, then I don't think I'll ever move overseas. Okay. So when I do like think about the fact that I might have to move overseas or play shows overseas and be away from them, it is a little bit like that's the thing that I
So would that be your biggest sacrifice?
Yeah,
kind of.
Yeah, 100%. Turn right here. Right. That's without a doubt my biggest sort of like. I wouldn't say it's like something that I'm scared of. I'm not scared to do that. It's just like I don't really want to leave my family. But then again, it's just like, well, yeah, I want to because I want this so much. Then it asks you the question like, how badly do you want this? Yeah. You know, I've pretty much sacrificed my soul to the devil, so to speak, in this industry. I've given everything into it. It's all I think about every day. Yeah.
Well, you know, your hard work's paid off, and you got your first international gig, right, coming up. When is that?
That's July 28th. So that'll give me my first taste of being an international artist. Right. I mean, it's only one show and whatnot, but at the same time, I mean, there shouldn't be any buts because that is an opportunity of a lifetime. I get to go to Abu Dhabi and play Tomorrowland. That is incredible, you know.
Well, I guess it's going to give you a taste of a 14-hour flight for a gig for a 1-hour show. So to speak,
I'm travelling 14 hours one way to play 1 hour set, and then travelling 14 hours to come back home. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I'm not even thinking about all that. I'm just thinking about going there and being able to experience that. Ideally, that's an experience that may happen once in my life. There's a difference playing to a club where if you play your brand new song, you can lose the dance floor. If you're at a festival like Festival Hall, people aren't going anywhere. They have to deal with it. Even if they think this is shit, they have to deal with it anyway. And
sit there and
so I'm kind of going to Abu Dhabi with all this sort of new ammunition and all these fresh edits and this intro and all this stuff. You know, and it's either going to work, people are going to love it, or they're going to be like, okay, not for me.